guys, today we will be installing our Garmin single power switch kit on a Toyota Tacoma. This kit works on a 2nd and 3rd gen Tacoma, as well as a 5th gen 4Runner, and with a little bit of modification on a bracket, it works on the 470s, the GX 470s as well. There's a couple different options when you order this kit on the website. Upgraded cables, the first one. They'll come with the TechFlex sheathing on them. Much better option for longevity and for cable resistance and stuff like that. Along with that, we highly recommend getting the post mount fuses. That gets rid of the inline fuse system that just really isn't shielded as well, and this gets rid of any unfused cable at all because it's mounted directly to the battery. Along with that, speaking of mounting directly to the battery, we highly recommend going with the SDHQ battery terminals. These things are amazing, and we put them on essentially every single truck that we build here in the shop just because of their versatility and the expansion capabilities that you get with these things. And obviously the kit will come with your Garmin PowerSwitch and your Blaze Off-Road bracket as well. So let's go ahead and dive into the install on this. Alright guys, so we're going to start by building our kit. There's a hardware baggie included in the package. And then you're going to go ahead and grab your fuse block, your ground bar, and your power switch. The orientation on these is pretty simple because it really only works one way. Just remember that you want your cables going out away from the center of the bracket so they can essentially hang off the edge and tuck away. So obviously it's mounted with the screws out on both the power switch and the fuse block. Okay, so the hardware kit comes with 2 M6 bolts to bolt it to the fender. It comes with some 1024 and 832s. The 1024s, obviously the bigger, the thicker diameter ones, are going to be what holds your Garmin on. And then for the 832s, thanks to the length difference, it's kind of self-explanatory which ones go where, because the shorter ones go through the ground bar since it is a lot thinner than the fuse block. Alright guys, it's kind of a pro tip. The easiest way to put this hardware on is go ahead and drop it through with whichever component you're mounting. Grab the bracket and the piece, pull it to one side, pull it one direction to hold those bolts in place. So you can flip it over, throw your washers on, and then thread the nuts on by hand. This just makes it much easier than trying to keep everything lined up. It'll also make sure that the bracket mounts square and everything is in line. And then I go ahead and tighten each of these up. On the 1024s, it's gonna be a 3/8 socket, and then on the 832s, it's gonna be a 11/32 socket. Same technique there, pull it to the side, flip it over, throw your washers on, go ahead and thread the nuts on. And I do use nylocks so they will not rattle loose. Now, it's pretty much ready to go on the truck. We're just gonna go ahead and take off this safety tag now. This comes with the Garmin. It essentially just says, read the instructions. Or just watch our video. All right guys, a couple things with how this system that's on the truck now is installed. Like I've mentioned before, we always want to stay away from grounding extra things to the factory ground. Technically, at very least, unless you upgrade to a larger size factory ground cable. But even then, it's just a much better idea to rock those SDHQ battery terminals so that you're not running anything else through the chassis ground on the vehicle. Especially Toyotas are really susceptible, and a lot of modern vehicles are really susceptible to current running through computers and whatnot that are running on your factory ground. So it's never a good idea to do that, even if you're not worried about overloading the factory ground cable. Okay, so on this truck, we'll be pulling this aux beam setup off and replacing it with that Garmin PowerSwitch kit we just built. We'll also be throwing on the SDHQ battery terminals, so we have somewhere better to mount our main power cables along with the ARB twin compressor. This truck also has some light bars, ditch lights, radio on the inside, stuff like that. And so we'll be using that Garmin bracket system as a solution for powering all of those items as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start ripping all this stuff out so we can replace it. So what I like to do first, the only thing I pre-build on these terminals is putting the clamp bolt on. The rest of the stuff I throw in after the fact as I'm connecting all the battery cables to it, especially because a lot of times there can be quite a few cables and you want all these connections open so you can just hook it right up. So now that we've got the battery terminals in place, we're gonna go ahead and mount our PowerSwitch setup. A pro tip for this, guys, it makes everything easier, is to actually turn it on its side like this and go ahead and get this back bolt in so that you're not fiddling around underneath the bracket trying to get it all lined up and put in. So we're gonna put that like that, run this guy in just a little bit. All right, and now we're gonna grab the other bolt, rotate it around, line it up, and thread it in. And these holes are slotted, so you can move the bracket forward and backwards as you need to based on clearance. This truck looks like is an SR5 because, as you see here, it doesn't have the crawl control module. And so you have a lot more clearance on this truck, so you can move it all the way back as compared to TRD Pros and off-roads, where you have that crawl control module right there taking up quite a bit of space. So now we're hooking up the ground cables for the PowerSwitch setup. You've got two ground cables. You got the smaller one here that's in the box with the PowerSwitch. This is the ground for the unit itself. Keep in mind, none of your ground for your lights or anything it's controlling is going through that cable. That's why it's so much smaller, and then why this one is significantly larger. And so this wire, this ground cable, I run back behind here, up to the negative post of the battery, and then it connects right here on your ground bar. So we'll get both of those nice and tight, and then we'll throw the power cables on too. Okay, so next we're gonna hook up the two power cables. First, we obviously have the one going to the Garmin PowerSwitch unit. The second one is going to your fuse block right here. So same as before, we're gonna route these under here, pull them back around, and connect them to your units. And then always connect your power cables to wherever they're going before you connect them to your battery. So we've got our power cables mounted to the appropriate locations over here, being the fuse block and the PowerSwitch unit. And then we went ahead and mounted the post mount fuse block right here as well. All that is the one bolt through the SDHQ battery terminals, or if you have the factory terminals, you would mount it directly to the side of that battery terminal. Now, we just need to take our post mount fuses, throw them on, and hook our wires up accordingly. So be very careful over here not to drop these guys, because you'll drop them right into the engine. So So now that we've got this mounted, we've got our 2 post mount fuses here. We've got the 125 amp and the 40 amp. The 40 amp is gonna be for your fuse block right here. Obviously, if you're running a ton of extra stuff through that, you would run a much higher fuse if you needed to, but he's only running a radio and a couple small things right now. So we're gonna put that on there just like that. It's these are kind of non-critical how you mount them. They are rectangular shaped though, so they're gonna go one of 2 ways. I like to mount them with the amperage facing up so that you can actually see the fusible link there and the amperage. And we're gonna take our cables here. This one's gonna get routed around this way. Go on like that. Gonna set it there for a second, move these out of the way. Now that we've got the power cables connected to the proper fuses, we can go ahead and start buttoning everything up. On this truck, that means we're gonna hook up all of the old existing switches. On your truck, you may have new harnesses to put in or whatever, but we're gonna hook the truck back up to the battery, and then we're gonna hook up all of his old switches and eventually replace all of the harnesses that are on here with our harnesses, which are also available on the website. So as you see, it's super simple to install our single Garmin PowerSwitch setup on these Toyota vehicles. Throw the 2 bolts in, hook up your power wires, your ground wires, and that's essentially it. There's not much to do with it. And then for programming, it's even easier. Go download the PowerSwitch app from your app store, be it Android or iPhone. It's gonna walk you through it as soon as you open the app the first time. You're gonna open it up, you're gonna say, yes, I've already installed the PowerSwitch. It's gonna make you press and hold this button here. It's gonna recognize the device immediately. You don't have to click on anything, don't have to go to your Bluetooth settings, any of that. It'll pair with your device, and then you can set up all your settings and anything you wanna do there. Super simple, super easy. Got this installed on this truck. Takes typically about half an hour to do, maybe an hour max. Super simple project to knock out. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out through our website, blazeoffroad.com, where you can find this product as well, along with a bunch of other awesome products that we sell and make ourselves here at Blaze Off-Road. Give us a follow, like the video if you enjoyed the content. Like I said, always feel free to reach out with any electrical questions you may have about our products or others.